Hey guys, Kaijudo here with the Battledecks card preview number 2 that Wizards of the Coast has just announced today, which is Tuesday. So by the looks of it, every Tuesday is pretty much our new date for news about the TCG. Well, in this case, just the Battledecks. But we got the second card to show off, and guess what? It's Roaming Bloodmane. So this card is pretty much a big buff to Burning Mane from the original game. It does use the DM18 art of the Japanese game for Burning Mane. So they pretty much took that picture, put it onto this awesome card, and bam, you get this very rare Roaming Bloodmane card that's going to be in the Battledecks. And if I had to guess, there's probably going to be one copy of this in the deck. Yeah, I think one copy in the deck would probably make sense. Now, I actually think this card is not that bad if you read the effect. I mean, it's not like the best card in the world, but it does have a very interesting effect, and I like it a lot. I think I might build a deck around it. It seems pretty versatile, if you ask me. First of all, he is a level 7 creature with 6,000 power, which already is not that bad. Of course, you kind of want more power with, a creature that's at level 7, which is a pretty expensive creature. But his effect does kind of make up for it. So his first effect is Double Breaker, of course, because you have to have Double Breaker if you're going to be a level 7 creature. And not only that, this is pretty much the effect that makes up this card. Tactical Camouflage. This creature can't be blocked by creatures that have less power than it. Wow, that is actually pretty good, if you ask me. If you look at the blockers in Duel Masters, the English game, there are quite a handful of blockers that have, 6,000 or more, but it's very unlikely. I mean, the main blockers in Duel Masters are Tajimal, Bloody Skeeto, Thrash Crawler, that's just to name a few, and none of those are 6,000 or more. So Roaming Bloodmane just swings for 2 shields and he can't be blocked, pretty much. Of course, there are a lot of blockers with 6,000 or more. I definitely am very sure of that. But put in this card in your aggro deck, and he's just going to be swinging at shields without even thinking about anything except, a bigger creature running him over. That's pretty much the only downside, but that's what you could say about every other card in the game. They could all die easily to a creature with more power. But just the fact that you could be aggressive with him and they can't do anything about it is pretty neat. Of course, you're giving them shields, but when you're coming in for the kill and you swing with this guy and they have a bunch of blockers that can't block him, that is pretty decent, I have to say. I'd have to, test this in actual games, so I don't really know the strength of this card just by looking at it, but it seems pretty powerful. I would definitely like to try it in some sort of nature aggro-ish deck. Very, very nice card. Now, the other piece of news that they released, which wasn't really news, but it was just kind of a heads up, I guess. It's pretty much telling us that, hey, you should pre-order these Battledecks now. I mean, it's less than a month away, so might as well get your copies as soon as you can. And it's funny that they mentioned that because last week, last day of school, our day was pretty much like a half day. So, I got together with a bunch of my friends, and we went to the card store, which is like right next to the Subway restaurant near the school, and we're like, hey, let's just play some card games for fun. My friend actually brought this big box filled with like 20 different sleeved Yu-Gi-Oh decks and like all its synchro extra deck stuff, and I was like, wow, you really planned for this to happen. So we just pretty much played a bunch of games, and since we were 3 people, we did a lot of, 3-way battles somehow. We kind of just made our own rules that you can only attack, you can't attack someone twice in a row. You have to, alternate or something. And it was very, very, very interesting way of dueling, I guess. But since it's just Yu-Gi-Oh!, I mean, it's not, the craziest thing ever. It's still a fun game. I just kind of got tired of it because of all the new extra deck stuff, which I really don't like. And it got way too expensive for me. But now I have potentially a job, so I will be able to afford Kaijudo cards, and that's going to be really cool. Now, the reason I'm telling you this kind of story is while we were there, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ask this guy if he knows about Kaijudo. So I asked the store guy, hey, do you know about Kaijudo? And he's like, no, what's that? And I'm like, okay, do you remember Duel Masters? And he's like, oh, Yeah, I remember that game. That game was pretty cool. So I pretty much explained to him what was going on and saying that Duel Masters is pretty much coming back in the form of Kaijudo. And then he's like, "Oh, well, that's cool, but I sure hope it doesn't become one of those card games that just kind of died. Like, I forget what he told me. I think it was Chaotic or Redakai or something like that. It like if you look at Kaijudo and those games, they're kind of similar in a sense that in the fact that they're kind of like pushing towards kids playing the game and then going online and playing this other game that does not relate to it and codes and all this stuff. So it's kind of scary, but since there are so many supporters of Duel Masters already, I don't think this will be much of a problem. We just gotta keep on playing the game, guys, and don't let the game die again. That would really suck. But with the way things are going, it looks really, really promising. And so I asked him about, if there's any chance that he will offer the Kaijudo projects in his store. And he's like, well, yeah, I'll definitely stock them up. Just call me whenever you want and tell me when the products are coming out, and I'll buy a couple for you or whatever and put it on the side. So I'm pretty much set for Kaijudo. I could just call him up and say, hey, I want 3 Battledecks or 2 or whatever, and then I go to the store and pick them up, and that's pretty much it. He did say that he's not going to be selling singles at the start, which is quite understandable. The game is brand new, and there's not really a tournament scene, and I doubt there will be for quite a while because that's, the norm. You gotta get a couple of the sets out, at least like a set or 2 out, and then we'll have a lot of cards to work with, and tournaments will be possible. So that's pretty much all I had to say for this video. I just wanted to get the news out about the next card, which we already kind of knew about, but we didn't really know how awesome its effect would be, and I'm pretty surprised. It's really nice. And I just decided to tell you what I'm doing with how I'm going to get my Kaijudo cards, pretty much. And that's pretty much it, guys. This is TheKaijudoChannel, signing off. See you next week for the next week of previews or whatever that's going to happen. And hope you have a nice day, guys. See ya.